Okay, it is Friday, November 24th, 2023. It's almost 11 a.m. So I am here, Patty, to do a podcast for Spirit 432. It has been a little bit of time since our last podcast got released. Our goal was to start doing the podcast once a month. I ended up having some major changes come in, all for the better, but I didn't quite get to do as much as I wanted to with regard to our podcast. So I am getting back on track, hoping to play a little catch-up time between now and the end of the year. And our goal for these podcasts are to eventually start to bring in some more guests, all in the universe and God's divine timing. When that timing is right to do so, our plan is to bring in some guests to talk about their experiences with grief and signs from the other side. We're just again waiting for the energies and the timing to be just right to be able to do that. So, but I did want to come on. One thing that we also are going to try to get into, I actually got an Oracle card deck from my sister for my birthday. I have not opened this yet. I did charge it with my crystals, and that when it was right to do so. But I have not done anything with that yet. So it says, let's see here, tune into the magic Oracle card deck and booklet. So I am opening this now, and what I'm going to do, my hope is I'm going to pull a card from the deck, and then I am going to read the messages that come to mind, and my hope is that to anyone who is listening to this, you get something from the message. Perhaps this is something that your loved ones want you to hear, or the universe wants you to hear, God wants you to hear, or some combination of the three of those major entities or impacts, if you will. So I open this up here, and the first thing I see is it says, Al, pay attention to the winds of change. So one thing I want to mention is we just had the Thanksgiving holiday, the Thanksgiving season. So that has been certainly very interesting. The holidays are always an interesting time for better or for worse, realistically. And the reason is, I mean, it's good in a way because you get a little time off to recharge, get some time with family and friends, or perhaps just get a little more time at home, to be home, to get things done. I used to decorate very early for the holidays. This year and the last couple years have not been the case. But I've noticed a lot of people already getting their Christmas decorations out, and it's always good to see those kind of things as well. So one thing that though that we wanted to bring up is that oftentimes around the holidays, especially if you have had a recent loss or some sort of a major change, there can be things that impact your life, again, for better or for worse. And we always try to bring out the positivity. It's important to let things go. One of the things that, I know I was personally focusing on was with manifestation and letting go, and I was able to do a lot of that in a relatively short amount of time. And then today I was kind of going over some things, and I realized I'm operating at this new level, but everything had to happen the way it did in the order that it did in order for me to progress and get to this particular point. I had to have everything work out exactly the way that it happened. So but around the holiday season, it's good and it's bad. I think it's important too to let new energies settle in, but not forget about the old energies. It's important to hold on to the things that you need to hold on to make time for the things that are important to you, to do things that make you feel good spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and energetically, but also just make sure you have that healthy balance. And although it's good to be strengthened in those lessons, after a period of time, you have a foundation, but you need to move on from just that foundation and that groundwork. And I feel like I am definitely at a point where I've had a lot of negative things come up, especially over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, that have really allowed me to get a very solid base, a really strong base. I've had that foundation set in, but now time has gone on, and now it's time to build the build up from the foundation, build the house or the building, if you will. It's time to start moving on in that blueprint. And that doesn't mean it's all going to be done overnight, but that means it's, you know when the time is right to move up from that area where you've got the foundation there, it's strong. There's not much more you can do to strengthen it. So now you've got to start to build the walls of the house and put in that, the effort so you can really get more of a house formed as opposed to just having that foundation there. So that's where I'm at in my journey. And no matter what it is in life, if you've had family changes, maybe you're going through a divorce or a breakup, or you're going through problems with maybe a friend or a family member has problems, health problems, or there's been a lot of, especially post-COVID, a lot of issues with mental health. Maybe you yourself are struggling with some of these things. It doesn't necessarily just have to be somebody you know. I think it's important though to know that you're never alone in your grief. You're never alone in all of the things that you're experiencing. There is help around. There's resources around. It's just knowing where to look, and it's having the mental strength and the positive attitude to ask for help when necessary. There's absolutely nothing wrong with asking for help, by the way. If you need help with something, it's okay to ask for that, to look for that, to get that direction. It doesn't mean you're a weak person by any stretch. So, I know the last couple months I've had a lot of change. I've been sort of feeling this sort of filtering of, especially with my career, I've been feeling this sort of filtering to shift in a new direction, and I've done that. And I'm very, very happy with the way things have worked out. So just be open to those things that are there, and when you do take the next steps forward, just know that whatever your chapter holds, whatever that next chapter is, that next step is, as long as you're doing things that feel right to you and you have a good feeling about it, the universe and God will unlock doors that you're meant to go through. And sometimes if you don't know how to take those first couple steps, you'll be guided and your hand will be held a little bit more, but whether you're ready or not, or you want to or not, those steps will need to be taken, and you will be forging ahead. And the quicker you learn to forge ahead and you make better decisions for yourself and your life, work-life balance, those kind of things, the sooner you do that, the more you'll be able to, for the greater good, continue to proceed forward. So no matter what it is that you're going through, no matter what glaring mountain stirs ahead of you, it's only temporary. It's not going to be there forever. So just keep going through it, keep climbing. At some point in time, you will reach the peak of it. And there's one thing I've heard recently is there's not going to be any worse day for you than today. Today is going to be the hardest day. No matter what it is that seems unbearable, you will get through it, and every day will get a little bit easier. There will always be new challenges, but today will be the hardest day. The things that are hard today, a year from now, are no longer going to be hard. And if you still find that you have the same repeated obstacles over and over and over again, and things aren't getting better, and the hard days aren't going away, then it's then that you really need to look around and say, is this where I need to be? But today ultimately is the hardest day, and it's going to be definitely it's harder than it was yesterday. So just keep moving forward, and know that as you're climbing the mountain, you will reach a point where you will be able to get over to the other side of that, but you have to take the necessary steps. And then as time goes on, the more you allow yourself to experience new things, and you're positive with yourself, the better your life will end up being. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to pull this first card here. So let's see here. So this is an owl, and it's pay attention to the winds of change. So this is very interesting. I personally have several times seen the owl, especially in the last, I would say, about a little over a year. One night, a friend of mine and I think we were going out for her birthday or my birthday. It was one of our birthdays we were going out for. Anywho, we were going down the road, and all of a sudden we saw this owl on the side of the road. We turned around, and it was just sitting there, and then there was this bulletin, or not bulletin board, excuse me, this billboard. There was a billboard behind it, and the billboard had a message on there about hope. So it was very interesting to see that. Myself, I know the owl has made an appearance, especially over the last 5-6 years, made an appearance, especially in the winter nights. And I believe when I've looked it up, it's a spiritual messenger. Sometimes it can mean an end or death is near. But in this particular instance, what I have more often than not found the owl to be a symbol of, it's to pay attention to the winds of change. And I think that now that we're getting into the winter season, we haven't really had that full winter effect, although we did have a storm. I think we had fall hanging on just a little bit longer, which has been great. I'm looking out the window now, and there's still some leaves on the trees. The trees are still hanging on to some of those leaves. They haven't all fallen off yet. So for being the end of November, it's actually pretty amazing that that's the case. But we all know that winter's coming. It's creeping in, and as soon as a few days from now, we may see that a little bit sooner as opposed to later. But anyways, pay attention to the winds of change. So when you see the owl or you hear an owl hooting in the night, just know that it's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be a very positive thing. It could be asking you to maybe take a step back and look around to what's going on. Right now the wind is blowing, so whoever needs to hear this with regard to the owl, pay attention to the winds of change. Pay attention to what things may be going on around you that you need to let go of. As I'm looking out the window, and I'm sure there's somebody that needs to hear this, there's still some leaves on the trees. Now, the tree has to let go of those leaves, or it will die. It doesn't need those leaves now. It needed it for nourishment during the growing season and throughout the summer and the fall, but it doesn't need those leaves now. So the tree I'm looking at, why is it hanging on to those particular leaves? It's windy and they're still kind of grasping on. But if you're looking at that, or you're looking at a situation in your life and going, I'm hanging on to this, but it's really not serving me anymore. I've got to let it go. Take the leap and let it go. Whatever letting go means to you. It's hard sometimes to just completely stop thinking about something or someone or a situation. But I mean, maybe you write a note to yourself and you throw it away, or you write a note and you read it out loud and then you crinkle it up and throw it away, or however you work to let things go. One other thing that I want to mention is when you hang on to things you're not meant to hang on to, it can cause your mind to block energies and block new things from entering. So if you're doing that, if you're hanging on to things that you're not supposed to be hanging on to, like this tree that's hanging on to these leaves. And if you're hearing that owl hooting in the night and you're maybe not taking that for what it's worth, you're not realizing the beauty in that message, you're not fully paying attention to that. You're just sitting in the darkness and you're just taking things in. Maybe you're ignoring something that you shouldn't be ignoring. You're ignoring that you don't feel a certain way anymore. Or you're ignoring that you do feel a certain way. You're hanging on to something. You need to focus on letting that go. Let it go into the wind and let it change. You're going to be a better person for it. And also kind of really start to look at, hey, in 6 months, do I really want to be sitting here having these thoughts? Do I really want to be sitting here in 6 months worried about this thing? Chances are you probably don't want to be. And in 6 months, that thing might even be so different and so far out of reach. You're wasting a lot of time when you're blocking your energies, and you put these self-blocks and these limitations on yourself because you don't let go of things that you're not meant to hang on to. So let's be like the owl. Let's pay attention to the winds of change, and let's let that go. Let's let those things go. Let's let them move forward. Let them go into the wind. If it's not something that's serving a higher good or serving your higher good, then please let it go. Let it go. So right now it's 11:11 on Friday, November 24th. And I hope that whoever got this message, I hope it reached whoever needed to hear it. I would just ask you that if you did get something from today's message, if this was something you needed to hear, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please give us a like or a comment. If this was something that you resonate with or that you're in alignment with, please give us that like or that follow. We would love to know that a message that we were encouraged to share by the universe reached the right person. And when we know that, maybe that will help us to reach more individuals who need a similar message in the future. Therefore, we can help more people who maybe need this sign or this message. So I'm going to just close this podcast with this. I do look forward to the last month of the year, the last month and the quarter of the year, and I also look forward to next year. But one thing I know I want to do is I want to spend the next month continuing to purge my life of things that I mainly attachments that I'm hanging on to that I shouldn't be hanging on to. And I encourage you all to do the same. Don't hang on to things because it's all you've known, or it's all you know, or you feel like you have to for some reason. If you're having to cling on to something and you're having to really work to keep something in your life, it's not worth it, and it's not where you need to be, and it's holding you back from your full potential, from being able to do the what needs to be done for the greater good, to serve other people. So with that, the owl, pay attention to the winds of change. I am going to close for today. I do wish you all a very blessed Friday weekend. I do hope you all had a very happy Thanksgiving, whatever Thanksgiving means to you. And if it was a tough time because loved ones are not around, just remember you can control your breathing. You can focus on that, and that'll sometimes help you to remain calm. So that's one thing I would recommend doing if you ever feel like you're getting upset or like it's too much. And then your loved ones are always close; they're always near to you. So if you close your eyes and you ask for a sign, sometimes it may not be a real visible sign. They do. I've been finding my relatives, especially lately, they're busy. I go to call on them and they're not right there, but they are. There's a part of them that's with us every day, and there's a part of them that's alive within us. And I do think that if you just sort of sit long and hard and just think for a moment, they will, if as soon as they can, they will let you know they're close by in some way, shape, or form, even if it's not a physical sign like we sometimes like to have or that we're used to. But definitely, if you do feel like things are becoming to be too much, focus on your breathing and just try to relax your mind. So I'm going to leave you with this today, and this concludes this podcast. And I hope everybody had a very happy Thanksgiving from Spirit 432, as well as our sister company, Northeast Beachside Creations. Thank you.